Welcome, everybody. It's time once again for another episode of the OC Spotlight. It's the only show that takes a look at the most incredible people doing the most amazing things right here in our own backyard. And today, well, I always say this is the most interesting one, but this may be the most interesting one. Certainly we've talked to in a long time. We have John Dade with us here today, who put together an event we're going to talk a lot about today here. And I want to make sure I get it right. The CIGAR Night Business Mixer. Did I get that correct?
You got it right.
CIGAR Night Business Mixer. It's an idea of what? Of bringing businesses together in a fun, casual setting and having them smoke some cigars. I suppose they drink a little wine or maybe a little scotch or something and get to know people in a different environment other than the kind of speed dating, hey, can I pass out 5 million business card mixers I've been to most of my life here. So let me see if we're going to try and do this as a video too. So I'm going to switch over to where John is, and we'll see if we can get a video of this as well, because he's a good-looking guy here. We want to make sure everybody shares that. So hang on here. Let's do this. Okay, and there we are.
Hello, Paul. Welcome.
We've never tried this before here. I'm usually behind the curtain. You can tell I'm in my engineer's outfit, my cap and everything here, but
you do a great job. So.
John was in here before, and we didn't get the video completed, so I thought, well, let's try this again here. So welcome to OC Spotlight. How many years ago did you come up with this idea? How, when, why, where?
Well, hello, Paul. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. The CIGAR Night Business Mixer Group basically started about 9 years ago this month in February. Mm-hmm. And in the industry I'm in, I need to meet a certain type of client, mm-hmm. and it just wasn't happening in the traditional networking formats.
So let's tell everybody what that is. You do some really high-end trading and commodities and other sorts of things.
Right. We specialize in alternative investments in the commodity side. And while they don't have to be excessively wealthy, they do have to be somewhat knowledgeable about investments.
I don't think so. That's not one that most people just jump into. It's not like picking a stock that your brother-in-law told you about here.
That's absolutely correct. So we help educate and guide them along. And in order to meet them, I needed to come up with a different way of engaging that client, mm-hmm. that person. Mm-hmm. So me and a friend,
without sounding like a sales call, hey, can I come and tell you about our product here? No, I'm not interested.
Well, exactly. I mean, cold calling died, in the 80s and early 90s. We all know that. Anybody that's been in sales is hammered the phones.
Yeah.
But, after the 2008 crash, it's all about relationships now. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned earlier, the speed dating and speed networking and all this, it's not about relationships. It's about how many cards can you collect.
Exactly. And how many can you pass out?
Yes, exactly. And that's not what it's about. It's about building relationships. Mm-hmm. So me and a few folks who were having the same problem mm-hmm. sat down and said, okay, who is our client? Where do they hang out? What do they do?
What do they like to do?
What do they like to do? I mean, they like to hang out at private country clubs. They smoke good cigars. They mm-hmm. drink good scotch. Mm-hmm. They hang out on their boats. They play golf.
They go to private bars or restaurants or other places to enjoy a good night out. Right.
High-end country clubs and things like that.
Right.
Well, I don't play golf, so that was out. So I decided to meet them on the 19th hole.
Okay.
At the private club.
Right.
So we organized a networking group that meets once a month at very nice venues throughout Orange County. Mm-hmm. We also have chapters in L.A. and San Diego mm-hmm. that bring together executives, professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs, to network in a very relaxed, relationship-building atmosphere, enjoying their passion, a good cigar, mm-hmm. a premium spirit, scotch.
Relaxed
tequila.
As opposed to forced and quick and feeling like, why did I go there?
Absolutely. I mean, part of the reason is I'm not an introvert, but you go into a lot of these networking events and you try to meet a group mm-hmm. or meet people, and the first 30 seconds, it's very cold. Hi, I'm John. How are you?
Right.
And you get kind of a couple
when you
looks.
Force yourself. I find myself having to do. I'm not exactly a wallflower either, but I find myself going into a room of strangers and you take a deep breath. Okay, here we go again. And you walk, hi, I'm Paul. Hi, and what do you do? And then they go, I do this, and you do this. Yes. And then you find yourself looking over their shoulder going, this isn't not somebody I want to meet here. And I'm looking over their shoulder like, who's next?
Who's the next person?
Yeah, exactly.
So you walk into one of our events, And not only is it warm and welcoming, you all have something in common.
Yeah.
It's a passion of cigars or spirits.
And you know, a couple of our shows talk about this a lot. You were on the Rad Life. He talks about this a lot. And in today's world, it's not just about the relationships and contacts you make. It's about the experience of going on a trip, the experience of going to build homes for the Habitat for Humanity, the experience of sharing cigars and doing something together.
Exactly.
That's really how you form bonds through shared experiences.
Exactly. And you don't sell. I mean, if 10% of it is sales, it's probably too much, because you're talking about other things. You're talking about what you just mentioned: travel, philanthropy, cigars, spirits, boats, sports, all these different things. And then at the end, it's like, wow, Paul, I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I'd really like to find out more about what you do.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we can get together. We'll reach out next
if we
week
click, then let's find ways to keep the connection going here. Right, exactly.
And that is very organic. It's not forced.
So how many people show up to these things, and who are they? Are they mostly older men? Are there women in there? Are there 30-somethings, 70-somethings? I don't know. Who show us the picture of who's in the room.
Well, it's great. When we first started out about 9 years ago, it was mostly men, until the word started spreading. And then the men started bringing some of their significant others, girlfriends, wives, or what have you. And then some of the executives.
Can you bring both? Or no, probably
well, you can
not.
bring both, as long as I'm not accused of setting this up.
No, I'm just kidding here. All right.
But then we started getting executive businesswomen. And now, 9 years later, I'd say the mix is probably 10, 15% women and men. Age categories, everything from 20, 21 to 71, 75, whatever.
All over the whole
all
spectrum.
Across the board.
Right.
They have one thing in common: a shared interest in their passion, cigars or spirits, and business networking at a whole different level, a more relationship building level.
So you've pioneered this thing, turned it into a monthly event, and it's spun off into other cities as well. Now you've got other groups that you've organized. Is this a business? Is this just of passion gone crazy here?
Well, it's kind of a passion gone crazy. We actually started here in Orange County, and we had people coming in from Los Angeles area, Inland Empire,
yeah, the uniqueness of it. Well, I got to check this out.
They got to check it out. They saw the pictures online. We have 3 Facebook pages, and we're on LinkedIn. And we got inquiries about, well, gee, how can I duplicate this in Los Angeles or San Diego? So I went down and worked with the people that were interested, put a team together. 9 years later, we have chapters, like I said, in those 3 areas: LA, San Diego, and Orange County. Average attendance in Los Angeles and San Diego is about 50. Average attendance in Orange County is somewhere between 90 and 125.
Well, it's the parent. It's the one you've been doing the longest, and you've obviously here, so you can work it harder than other people can.
Well, exactly.
And spend more time in developing it. So are the people who show up there looking for other service advisors to trade business with? Are they looking for somebody to sell things to? Are they looking for somebody who can just help create a network and maybe feed them some ideas? I'm trying to picture who goes to these things, because I stopped going to networking a long, long time ago. I found it to be an unsatisfactory experience. It felt forced, it felt fake, and it felt very disingenuous.
Yes.
People were not there really because they cared about me. It's only if I could buy something of theirs or give them something in return. It was very transactional feeling.
Exactly.
And I didn't really feel like I was, meeting anybody or creating any real connections here. I was just collecting a lot of business cards and passing out a lot of business cards. And maybe that was my mistake too. I started to approach it the same way they did. Like speed dating is the only way I can describe it. How many people in the room can I get to see and get a quick synopsis of and pass out my business cards?
Exactly. And what makes ours unique is, and I hear this from people that come to the events for the first time, generally they're invited by somebody else. And they just want to come because they don't really believe it.
Yeah, right.
on the way out,
I'm expressing my own doubts here. You know,
Well,
it all sounds too good to be true that people really come and hang out and enjoy spending time with each other in the way that we all fantasize about here.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like a big family picnic. Okay, really? And any given time, there's 10 or 15% new people.
That's the way I'm going to explain it to my wife. I'm going to a family picnic.
There you go. That's what you. Well, it's funny that you bring that up because quite frankly, when I first started this, a couple months into it, you know, my wife was like, "Okay, what are you really doing?
Yeah,
I mean, you're going out 3 nights a month.
Yeah, right.
You're smoking and drinking and partying, and you're trying to tell me you're working.
Exactly.
Well, you know,
honey,
finally,
somebody's got to do it. Right?
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. Well, finally, a couple of years ago, I brought her to a couple of the events, and her comment was, "Gee, you really are working. I only saw you for 5 minutes. You're doing this, you're doing that." You know, because it is something where you're there to
you're the
make
host,
people feel
too.
comfortable,
Yeah, and
greet the people, all
right.
the above.
Do you try and match people together? Do you try and get them to? That's always a sign of a good party. You know, too many times I don't go to many parties for the same reason, because if I don't know a lot of the people there, I end up talking to 2 guys or 2 people over and over and over again. And everybody else kind of breaks off into their own cliques and their own crowds, and it's hard to break through.
Absolutely. One of the things is, again, we get a lot of emails up to the event. Hey, I'm bringing so-and-so, or I'm coming and so-and-so. And if I know a banker's coming that does business banking, you know, I know somebody's going to be there that might be starting up a new business or a new franchise that's looking for business banking. I personally meet them, take them and introduce them, introduce each other, and then say, you know, you guys take it from here. And making the connections is what it's all about. It's about them getting together and making the connections.
So what if you don't like cigars? I'm not sure I'm a cigar smoker here. I mean, I know a lot of guys are, and that's a hip, cool thing. I'm sorry to be such a wimp here, a weenie, but I've never been too crazy about smoking.
Wimps and weenies are allowed. That's okay. Well, again,
I like spirits. I don't mind a good scotch or wine or something here.
Well,
but
and this is what I share, especially ladies. I mean, some of them don't smoke cigars, obviously, but they come because
although more do these days than ever before.
Believe it or not,
yeah.
yes,
right.
They are. But I tell them, if you can put up with us, and most of them are outdoor events, so there's plenty of ventilation. If you can put up with being around it, okay, and want to come for the food, the spirits, and the networking, by all means do. And many of them take us up on it. And it's be surprising, you look over 2 or 3 hours later, and they're puffing on one just to check it out.
Yeah, just to check it out, right. Yeah, that's about as far as I'd go here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how much does it cost to go to this thing, and how does all this get paid for? That's not cheap, having cigars, having a restaurant, some food, and alcohol. Is it a cash bar, or how does it all work here?
Well, depending on the venue, and again, in each location, L.A., San Diego, and Orange County, we change venues every month. So we're at a different place every month.
Yeah.
So depending on the venue, the ticket price of admission is generally somewhere between $35 and $45. But for that, you get food. We usually have 3 or 4 different tasting tables, scotch, rum, tequila, cognac, bourbon, what have you.
I like that.
We have a free cigar. Okay. We have some great raffle prizes and all the above. And the people that help sponsor the event, we bring in different businesses to help sponsor at a very reasonable rate. And they will get the list of all the attendees for the evening so they can market too as well.
Makes sense.
So it gives them a chance to get exposure to a higher group.
How many sponsors typically do you bring into?
Generally no more than 2.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to have space for the.
And these would be like who? Give me some of your
We've
recent.
had travel agents. Matter of fact, a travel agent that we have was so engrossed by what happened that basically she booked a year at a discount rate.
How about that?
And they have a table, they have their information there,
Yeah,
they have their brochures, they talk to everybody, and she's gotten a lot of business from it.
Makes sense.
It could be another financial advisor, since I don't do equities. Financial advisors aren't my competition. We have the spirits vendors. We may have business insurance companies that do business insurance. Different
accounting
types.
firms, legal firms, maybe,
CPAs,
or something, right?
CPAs, absolutely.
Last question. Okay,
Yes.
so how do you find the people to come? I know there's a certain word of mouth once it starts to take off, but as you build new chapters or as you continue to breathe life into this group, people move on or move in or move out or whatever, how do you keep finding new bodies to bring in?
Well, in the beginning, like anything else that you start up, you have to market. You have to reach out to the community and let them know. That's what part of the management team is for. They're in different industries. They go about their business and business and networking and restaurants.
They probably got lists or groups
they
or
invite
clients.
People.
Right.
Okay. Those people come, and then they tell other people. Now, again, 9 years later, we have 3 Facebook pages and a LinkedIn page, and we constantly get feedback from people. I heard about this. Perfect example, one of our venues is the over in Newport Beach, and it's a regular smoking place over there. Hey, I talked to so-and-so, told him about your group. I'm going to invite him to the next event. That consistently, week after week. So now it's taken on a life of its own.
Well, and you are the network king anyway. Let's talk about your book a little bit. I know we want to put a plug in for that. Is your networking not working or networking?
Yeah. Is your networking?
Exactly.
Yes. Basically, the success of the networking group, I was approached by a couple of people that are also very accomplished authors about writing about it, to share it with other people. And that's where the book came from.
Copy and peruse it while you're talking here.
Matter of fact, if anybody wants to
fun size little book
call
here.
in,
Okay.
877-331-2533. And we're giving away 2 copies today. So if you call in or what have you, now or afterwards, and give your information to Paul, we'll make sure that you get these mailed out to you. But basically, it's a step-by-step of how you can do it yourself. If what you're doing isn't working, then you might want to change it.
Give us a couple of tips here.
A couple of great quotes. I mean, this is by Harvey McKay. Everybody knows who he is, best-selling author, business guru. And one of the great movies I liked was, great taglines, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, right. Field of Dreams, right.
Field of Dreams, exactly. His take on this, if you don't belong to a private club, create your own. I didn't belong to a private club where all these people would hang out that I needed to meet.
Right.
So I created my own. Now I've become the center of influence, and they come to me.
Interesting. I love, I'm Irish, so I like George Bernard Shaw, the Irish playwright. The reasonable man adapts himself to the conditions that surround him. The unreasonable man adapts surrounding conditions to themselves. All progress depends on the unreasonable man.
I agree 100%. And I've always been kind of a outsider and alternative thinker. And again,
alternative investments.
Alternative networking. I needed to create something where I became the center of influence, and instead of trying to go out and find 100 people in the course of a month that were potential clients that I could do business with, my take is, why don't I create a group that will draw that 100 people to me every month?
Bring them to you rather than you chasing them. They come to you.
Exactly. And then I become the resource. Hey, Paul, I know you were talking with this gentleman over here, and you sent me an email about how to get in hold of him because you lost your business card. Here's this information. You guys get together.
You're the connector, right?
The connector,
right?
And that's
a value that you can bring to your community, to your friends, to others. Not just that's what I don't find in most of these networking things. Nobody's out trying to connect you. They're trying to connect themselves to as many people as possible.
Exactly.
But they're not looking to do something for you.
Exactly. Well, see, there's most of the networking groups out there that
they're supposed to. They're supposed to. Yeah.
And,
hey, let me help you. You help me, and we all help each other.
Supposed to reciprocate, right? And the thing is, you have to pay for the privilege, initiation fee. You have to pay a monthly fee. Then you go there and you have to give a referral. You have to do this. You have to do this. To me, it's more work than what I do for a living. I have fun what I do for a living. I'm not going to pay you to go network to not have fun.
Exactly.
Here, there are no dues to belong to our group. There are no monthly fees.
It's just amazing.
Whatever the month ticket price is for the event.
Right.
And that's it. And you get more than your value out of the event.
Have you had people stay with it now for years? Do they come and go over time? What's the typical pattern look like?
Well, I would say probably 50% to 60% have been with me for 9 years or more.
This is their club.
It's worth staying at. Others, for other reasons, either they changed jobs, they moved out of the area, or what have you, that they've gone away. But again, that's the beauty of it, because we're still getting more numbers than we did in the last 3 years at every event. and 10 to 15% are new numbers. So there's always a constant mix.
We're down to the last couple of minutes, folks, here. I'm going to try something we don't usually do. I'm going to step out of the camera and go back over there and engineer this, and I'm going to turn the mic and the camera over to John. Tell us again how people can find you. Give us all the information, and specifically, let's talk about, let you walk right into the camera there and tell everybody about this coming event. If you're watching this live, this is in February of 2019, and there's an event coming up shortly. You can always, if you're looking at this later, you can always go to the sites he's going to give you and find out the latest and greatest. But we want to make sure, for those listening live today here, that you take advantage and check the event out, because it sounds like a pretty cool one. So you're going to see me disappear. John, take it over.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Yes, I'm happy to share this with everybody. Again, we do our events each month at different locations, both in Orange County, LA, and San Diego. The one coming up next week is going to be February 13th. It's always the second Wednesday in Orange County. And we're going to be at the winery in Tustin, the winery restaurant, on their beautiful patio. We have a couple spirits vendors. We have a great cigar vendor. It's going to be a great time. And to find out more about Cigar Night Business Mixer Group, you can give me a call at 877-331-2533. My email is john@cigarnightbizmixer.com. Or you can go to our Facebook site, Cigar Night Business Mixer Orange County, LA, or San Diego.
Well, I thank you for coming in here again today and letting us experiment where I stepped in. Normally we don't do it this way, but I thought, well, what the heck, you're in here, let's shoot a video of this as well, because I think it is something that people will find on YouTube just as easily as they'll find on iTunes and other places. Thanks so much for coming, John
My
Dade.
pleasure. Thank you for having me, Paul.
You've been listening to another episode of the OC Spotlight, right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OCTalkRadio.net.